Commissioners. My name is Rick Abraham. I live in Green Bank. On November 3rd, a gentleman named Garrett Newkirk came down here to express his concerns about hazardous jet noise and what he perceived to be this Commission's lack of concern for the plight of noise victims. And I believe Commissioner Johnson, those comments were directed mostly at you. In response to his comments, the Sheriff's Department was called, and Mr. Newkirk was confronted as he was leaving this meeting. My concern was that the Sheriff's Office was being used for the wrong purposes because commissioners did not want to hear what he and people like him had to say and wanted to discourage that kind of participation in government. I spoke with the sheriff at length and the commission staff, and was assured that it was the tone and not the content of Mr. Newkirk's remarks, that the way he spoke was loud, made people feel uncomfortable, and so I looked at the tape myself, and I'll just say that when I spoke to the sheriff, he had not seen the tape. There was no complaint number, there was no case number. He did not see a problem after talking to Mr. Newkirk. But in any event, I don't fault the sheriff for coming down here and responding. He got a call of what could have been a problem. But I do fault this commission and commissioners, whoever was responsible for calling the sheriff. I watched that tape and invite anyone to watch it. There was nothing threatening about Mr. Newkirk's comments. He was very measured and deliberate. He was empathetic. He had a concern which he expressed. There was nothing threatening there, and in fact, any reasonable person would conclude that the law enforcement was called to discourage him and people like him from participating and coming down here and saying things that the commissioners didn't want to hear. So I think what happened was a misuse of law enforcement officials, was an abuse of power, and is something that should not happen again, and citizens, and this one in particular, will not tolerate. I think it smacks of the kind of conduct, the kind of bullying that has taken place against noise victims, attempts to marginalize people who are noise victims and have the courage to speak out like Mr. Newkirk did. And in response to that, I want to say that I go on record as I support everything he had to say. I won't waste your time, but you can pretend that I'm up here saying it. That I go on record as I support everything he had to say. I won't waste your time, but you can pretend that I'm up here saying it. And out there in the parking lot is a display on a vehicle which addresses the issues of his concern, which is going to be taken all over this island to Camano Island, and for people to see and hear about the issue that this commission or commissioners obviously don't want to see discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abraham.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else for public comment? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment period. Is there any response from board members? If not, we have one addition to the agenda. We need to add item number 12, the settlement agreement with the Deputy Sheriff's Guild.
So I want to make a comment. I don't believe that the commission instructed the call to the sheriff's office.
That's correct.
And I was hoping Janice would hear me say that. That it was based on staff comfort levels. There was no secret. There was no indication from board members to stop Mr. Newkirk or to stifle his remarks, and I think there's just a misunderstanding about the origin of that call.
I'm sure we can get her that information.